So which teams should you be using with Acheron? In this video, I'm going to be explaining some of her best teams in different situations and levels of investment. And yeah, let's begin. Alright, so first of all, I gotta explain what she needs in a team, so it's going to be very clear why I'm picking these teams. I'm not going to explain her full kit, but how Acheron works is that her ultimate is only going to charge when she gains a certain amount of stacks. It's called the /dream stacks. So when she gains enough stacks, you can do her ultimate. She can gain these stacks on her own from like her skill and stuff like that. But mainly you're going to be gaining these stacks when your team members apply debuffs on enemies. So every time one of your teammates applies any debuff on an enemy, she's going to gain 1 stack, which means the more debuffs you have, the more times you can unleash your ultimate faster. And obviously that's more damage. That's one thing. And then we also have her Ascension 4 Trace. It just says that when you have 1 or 2 nihility characters, the damage dealt by pretty much all of your attacks is going to be increased by either 115% or 160%. You can see there's obviously a big difference, especially because that's like a damage increase multiplier. There's a 45% difference between them, and that's pretty huge. So usually you'd want to have 2 nihility characters on your team. That damage bonus is definitely going to be worth it, and it's generally going to be better than any like harmony support or anything like that you can have. So just having 2 nihility characters is definitely going to be a must, at least at E0. And obviously nihility characters are usually able to apply debuffs, and that's pretty good. Now that we know that, let me give you some of her teams. So first of all, starting off with her like basic free-to-play team, everyone's gonna have access to that team, and it's definitely gonna be a decent enough team to use for most people. So obviously we're gonna have Acheron. The second character you'd want to use is gonna be a very good character to pair with Acheron, and that's gonna be Pela. First of all, she's a nihility character, so that's gonna give you 1 stack. Second of all, she is very skill point positive, so she's gonna open up the rest of your team options at least a little bit, and she's gonna allow you to use many different characters. Third thing, she's gonna be able to apply debuffs with her elemental burst, so she's gonna be helping you gain stacks for Acheron. And then also obviously the debuffs themselves are pretty good. The defense shred is going to be very good on any character. Any DPS is going to appreciate that, and obviously Acheron is going to be one of them. So she's going to be hitting a lot of things at once. She's going to be able to buff your damage, be in the healthy character, be skill point positive, which is very good. We're going to see Pela in a lot of her teams, even like non-free to play teams. She's still going to be like a super good option. But yeah, she's also free to play, so in a free to play team, obviously you'd want to have Pela on it. Now the second character on a free to play team is going to be Ganaifen. Just, you know, free to play nihility, she's going to be able to apply debuffs and obviously help you deal some extra damage, which is pretty good. So yeah, nothing really special about Ganaifen, but she gets the job done. As a free to play character, she's definitely going to be usable with Acheron. Also, if you're able to use the Light Cone Resolution Shines on Ganaifen, that's going to be even better because she's going to be able to apply another debuff on enemies, and that's like faster stacks for Acheron. That Light Cone is actually pretty good. You should try to use it even if it's not on Ganaifen. Whatever nihility you're using, if you can, try to use this Light Cone if you have it, because it's just a free stack pretty much. And then finally on your last slot, usually you're gonna need a sustain. Technically now we got all the requirements for Acheron, so any sustain is gonna work, but a sustain that can also apply debuffs is gonna be appreciated for faster stacks. If you're looking for free to plays, the upcoming 4-star soon is gonna work. Is Gallagher. He's gonna be able to apply a debuff with his elemental burst on enemies, and that's pretty good. And he's also generally gonna be able to sustain you enough. It's not like super good sustain, it's definitely gonna lack, especially compared to like top tier sustains, but it's definitely gonna be enough to, you know, keep you alive. So yeah, that's really is this simple like free to play team. It's definitely gonna be a good team for Acheron. It's gonna, you know, you're gonna get everything you need. You're gonna be gaining fast stacks with Pela, Ganaifen, and Gallagher if you have him. So yeah, if you're free to play, trying to find a team for Acheron, those are gonna be the go-to team members. Now, if we're looking for optimal teams for E0 to E1 Acheron, generally the first thing you're going to look to upgrade is going to be Ganaifen, because as I said before, she's nothing really special. She's just there to like be in the nihility and apply debuffs, but she doesn't really do anything else. Pela is going to be a very good option, so you can keep her. If we're looking for upgrade for Ganaifen, I'd say the go-to one, the obvious one is going to be Silver Wolf. You're just going to have even more debuffs on enemies, easier debuffs, and most importantly, stronger debuffs. You're going to have all the Silver Wolf debuffs, double defense shred, stuff like that, which is super good. It's definitely going to increase your damage by quite a bit. Also, you're probably going to be able to gain your ult faster with Silver Wolf, because you're just going to be able to use her basic attack to apply a debuff, which is also skill point positive at the same time. With Ganaifen, you might lack a little bit with like skill points, especially if you're playing Gallagher with her. It's going to be also like kind of skill point hungry. So Silver Wolf is definitely going to be a very decent upgrade over Ganaifen. Now, also Gallagher can be upgraded. For example, example, Aventurine is definitely going to be a better option because first of all, he sustains better, the better shields and stuff like that. And he's also going to be able to give you a debuff too, and also more damage, like much more damage. But that's definitely a less significant upgrade. If you don't want to use Silver Wolf, which is definitely better, you can use Black Swan, for example. She's going to synergize pretty well. She's also definitely going to be better than Ganifin, but she's going to be worse than Silver Wolf. So you can do something like Acheron, Pela, Black Swan, and then sustain. And then if you want to lean in more on like the Black Swan, you can use Kafka instead of Pela. That's definitely not like an Acheron team. It's more of like a Kafka Black Swan team, but at the same time, they're going to be helping Acheron like gain the stacks and stuff like that. So I guess it works. It's not the best synergy in the game, but in general, as a team-wide like damage, I think it's definitely going to be viable to use. But yeah, as I said, that's not like built around Acheron. It's more of like a Black Swan Kafka team. So you can use like Acheron, Black Swan, Kafka, and then any sustain. Another like unorthodox option is going to be removing your sustain. But that's only if you have Welts. So if you have Welts, you can kind of use him as a sustain. So you can use Welts as your second healthy character. And then instead of your sustain, you can use like a Harmony character. Usually Ron May is going to be the better option. She's also going to help you like delay enemies action with her ult. So that's going to play better into having no sustain. That's a more dangerous team. I know Welts can like imprison enemies and stuff like that and delay them, but sometimes it doesn't work. So I think having a sustain on your team is going to be much better, but it's definitely a viable team option if you know what you're doing. So you can play like Acheron, Pela, Welts, and then Ron May. Welts and Pela are going to be the two nihilities. Ron May is going to be buffing your Acheron even more. This team is definitely going to deal more damage than any of the teams I listed before because it's going to have the same things pretty much, and then you're going to have Ron May buffing your Acheron. So it's obviously going to deal more damage, but the thing is your survivability is going to be in question. So yeah, it depends if you can pull it off or no. Welts and Ron May are definitely going to help you survive because they're going to delay the enemy's action, but will that be enough for you? It depends. Also, you'd want to make sure you have enough speed on Welts and Ron May and Pela. And now moving on, if you have her E2, if you got her second Ido on, that's going to give you the full buff without using two nihility characters. So you're going to be able to use only one nihility characters, which is going to make your teams much more flexible. Before we continue with that though, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. That's going to help me a lot. So yeah, let's get to 7K subscribers. Thank you. So for E2 teams, instead of using a nihility character, usually you'd want to use a Harmony. Or in general, like anything that can buff you, but usually it's going to be a Harmony character. And usually it's either going to be Sparkle or Bronya. So your team options are going to be Acheron and then a Harmony character like either Sparkle or Bronya. They're both pretty good, but you might face some like skill points issues with Bronya. So Sparkle might be like the better option in general. But Bronya can also work too if you know what you're doing with your skill points. And then finally, obviously you'd want to use another nihility to get the buff from your passive because you're still going to need to use one nihility at least. So usually you'd want to go for Pela. And then finally, any sustain is also going to work. So Gallagher or any sustain at this point is going to work. Usually you're not going to need many debuffs from other characters on these teams because if you're using Sparkle or Bronya, you're going to have multiple turns on Acheron herself and you're going to be able to gain debuffs from her herself. So that's going to be pretty good. As I said, as long as you're managing your skill points. And yeah, this team is definitely going to deal much more damage than like previous E0 teams. But yeah, that was the video guys. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video. Peace.